Students. Am I audible?
Good morning,
Good
Good
sir.
morning,
morning,
sir.
sir.
Thank you. So what we'll do, we'll wait for one or two more minutes and then start your class. Actually, from today onwards, your actual C starts, which is very interesting, and you need to concentrate a lot. Somehow, some kind of a reasons. Okay, if my voice is not audible due to some kind of a network issues, remember this is an online classes. Is not going to be that easy. You have to concentrate. Sit separately, try to listen to all classes, okay, with the help of a PC or a laptop. Please, okay, don't use mobile. Okay. Then, if there is any issues, right, please let me know. Any network issues or my voice is not audible to you, right? If I am using mobile data, I'll let you know I'm using a mobile data. If it is a broadband, the connection will be very seamless and there won't be any kind of an issue. But it's a mobile data I'm using for any kind of streams, right? So I'll switch off my video, then I'll start explaining. Otherwise, it's very difficult to do it, right? That's how it is. Then we'll start. We'll wait for one more minute and start. I'm expecting everyone to attend your class, at least your key related, because if you absent for one of the classes, right, it's very difficult for you guys to pick up this. Okay, why? Because I already told you it's a programming language. There won't be any much difference between the normal language that you guys have learned and make it a programming language. I'll let you know while explaining about all this. Still 50 students only, right? So we'll wait for students to let them be here by at least 3-4 minutes before. I'll generally come at 5-10 minutes before. You observe, right? You can observe those things posted, when it posted, and all will be get recorded. So this recording also you can 5 minutes. So 26. Go to your syllabus. See, we completed all this till this point. What is the introduction to your computers? I mean, till previous week. Okay. What is a block diagram? What is the history of your computers? What is the computer definition? Why you use it? Okay. What are the components of your computer? How it will get interact with each other? Characteristics of your computer, right? Types of your computers. What are the different computer language that you have? Okay. Then given a problem, how to design an algorithm steps. Okay. How present your algorithm pictorial to make your end user to understand properly, right? So these are the kind of stuff. This is very basic in nature. Basically, those people who want to join in engineering, these things has to be a prerequisite. Okay? But still, they kept it. I'm not sure because I was against keeping all this stuff. Okay, right. So we'll talk about your overview of C. Okay. The overview, what is trying to tell you is that how the evolution of history of your C was there. Okay, who invented it? The C language was invented by Dennis. The year 1972. He was a part of the university. I don't remember. Okay. So please go through all this stuff. Okay. This is a simple theory basically. If I open this, most you can find those stuff. So invented by Ritchie in Bell Laboratory. So he was a part of the professor in one of the universities, and he is used to work for Bell Laboratory. So in 1972, he invented C actually, not only the C is not invented directly. Actually, it is a descendant of BPC, basic some kind of the program, combined programming. Okay. The basic combined programming language. So basically, it is called as a B. From B, he used the syntax and semantics of a B to generate. I mean, new language is invented called C. Who invented it? Ritchie. Okay. Then why he invented it? That's the first question. Okay. People has to ask this kind of a question. Sir, why is invented? Why C? Why not B? Why they are not used a B as a descendant language of going further? Because the B has its own limitations. So to overcome those limitations, right, they invented a new. I mean, you cannot. So you can inculcate all those changes into B, but it becomes a very huge during that time to inculcate those changes into B. So complete the software changes has to be done. Instead of doing that, right? So they come up with a new language called C. C is completely,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah.
Sir, can you speak some loudly, sir? It's not clear.
My voice.
Not clear, sir.
It's a problem with online classes. See, my speaker is full, right? It's a full base. I'm shouting a bit, you know. Still issues are there.
Slightly, sir.
No, sir.
See, that's a few people will listen. I mean, that depends on kind of the network also you people have at your side. Maybe my side also. There will be these kind of issues will be always be there. What I'll do is I'm recording this. Okay, I'll post in your course web. Okay, you can download there. I mean, you can directly watch from there. But you have to point out saying that if you really have some kind of issues, okay,
Okay, sir.
right. Right. So that's why they invented from scratch. So the new kind of the features that added to A, B, and they invented C. So after B, they given the naming convention to follow it. C. Okay. So C follows procedural oriented programming. Okay. What is called procedural oriented programming paradigm. This is the paradigms are there based on the kind of the features your programming languages provides, right? So based on those features provided by your languages, they divided your languages into so many groups. Okay? So those are called paradigms. Paradigms are how they segregated your programming languages based on the kind of the features they provide. As you see, uh, completely is given a problem. Okay, given a problem, what you do, you divide your problem into so many procedures. Procedure 1, procedure 2, procedure 3, like this. How many you want to really do divide your problem to solve it? Those many procedures, you divide your problem. That's why then you code those things into your C language. That's why your C language is called procedural oriented programming paradigm. I mean, it follows that. Okay? So why it is called a procedural oriented programming paradigm? Your C follows because even any kind of problem. So your C language, you take any kind of a program, any kind of a C program you take, it is a collection of procedures or functions. Collection of procedures or functions. Both are same. This and this. This fellow. We'll see the differences between. Mostly from end user perspective, both look similar. They do some kind of a logical unit of operation that it has to perform. So you complete C program, you take it. It is just a collection of procedures or functions. That's why your C is called a procedural oriented programming paradigm. That's what you have to remember. And mostly your all languages are remembrance only. So syntax, how you are done, how you guys learned languages. You practice. You from your childhood, you are talking with your parents, your friends, right? That's why you learned it. That's called a practice base. Okay, similarly, so how you practice? By remembering, right? Similarly, C language also. This is a kind of a language, but this is a programming language. It is a natural language. Okay, whatever we speak, English, Telugu, Hindi, right? Na? That's what. So same way you have to practice and you have to remember. So how you will remember? When you do a lot of practice. Okay. So how to remember? C program is just a collection of procedures or a function. That's why your C programming said to follow procedural oriented programming. So C falls into, there are kind of the programming patterns. Okay, one is procedural programming pattern, object oriented programming pattern, modular programming pattern, generic programming pattern. So you guys study all this stuff, okay, during your Java and all, right? Okay. We'll not talk about all this, but why? What are the different kinds of the programming languages follows these? Okay, based on the characteristics of those languages. See, your C language is what? C language you're dividing into procedures. That's why it follows this. Your Java is object oriented. That's why Java follows this. C++ follows this. C sharp follows this. So, right? Modular. All your C++, Java is follows modular approach. So everything falls into. So it's very difficult for you to understand what is the generic programming. When you at least learn a C language, you will understand. That's why I'm not going to explain. Okay. So this is how you guys learn your programming languages. Okay. So always remembrance is very important. So coming to your history of this, right? So why they have this C programming language? Most of your existing uh, embedded softwares still written in C language. Why it is? Because C, when you compile, it generates machine code. Okay? So your C is not portable across different architecture. Let us say I compile one program in my PC code that works only in this machine. If I take this, keep into some other machine, which is doesn't as equivalent to as my hardware, it never works there. So your C is not a portable language. So you have to change your code accordingly and generate your AXE and keep further. So as it is not a portable language, you have to have your own software to suit to your hardware. So it generates a machine language. As it is generating machine language, the execution speed of your C executable files is a very speed, okay, very high in speed as compared to rest of other programming. Let's say most of your embedded applications like you guys can see washing machine, how it is working, start, stop, everything is based on some kind of a software. So in which language they're written? Mostly C only. But olden, I mean, nowadays they are porting this C kind of embedded software into C++ and Java. Okay. Why they want to port these things? Because the complexity, if it is increases, right? Handling or writing your programs in C becomes a very difficult. Not only that, okay, whenever you want to reuse your code, okay, C++ approach and the Java approach, object-oriented approaches are very easy to reusable. Your C provides reusability, but in a very minute way. That's why, in order to increase the reusability, also they trying to migrate from C to a C++ or Java. But you need to ask, sir, why you need to study C language? Because many of these students or faculty or universities trying to keep C as a basic, because your C++ Java completely follows the syntax and semantics of C language. Okay. Your C++ and Java based on internet, you have to learning how to divide your program into so many objects. And here, you are trying to divide your program into so many procedures and functions in your C. But the syntax and semantics, the similar approach, the kind of iterational statements, okay, selectional statements that you use in your C will be used by your C++ Java. Mostly same. It is very simple to learn. That's why all the fundamentals, everybody has to learn C before migrating or start learning your C++ or Java. So it becomes your transition from learning of C as a C programmer to C++ or C programmer to Java becomes very easy. That's why you have to have a this kind of a compulsory. You guys have to learn. You will see it's a very simple language. You don't have much complexity in learning things because most of the fundamentals, if you learn here, those fundamentals will be followed by these fellows. So it becomes your life becomes very easy. Okay, that's why you are studying. So you concentrate a lot here when you understand all the intricacies, the complexities involved in it. You understand here, right? So your life becomes easy when you learn Java. Okay, you don't have C++, but I'm expecting you people to study C++ as well. Okay, you guys can do this course from SPIAM NPTEL, the separate certification course. You go there, programming in C++, you type there and register for it. It mostly for 8 weeks, it will be there, 8 or 12, taken by, their name I forgot. He's from IIT Madras, okay. Partha Pratim Das. Okay. So learn from here. You can, there will be 2 key certification programs conducted by SWAYAM NPTEL. Don't do any kind of a certification program, okay, from any Coursera and all. Why? Because the problems they post, right? What is the Coursera certification problems or examination problems? You can find on a GitHub. Okay? You get solutions and get easy, right? But in SWAYAM NPTEL, you can do copy only up to assignments. After this, you have to compulsory write a proctored exam to get your certification. Proctored exam for 75%. 25% is for some kind of assignments. If it is a programming kind of a language, there is a unproctored programming also is there. So 25 marks for your assignments, 25 marks for programming assignment, then 50 marks for your proctored exam. This is a good way of writing it. Right? Proctored means in front of somebody you write your exam. So getting this kind of certifications is important or Coursera kind of certification. I don't prefer this. I prefer only this. Okay. So please do register for C also if you want to. Those people who want to learn further C. I mean, you guys can see the difference the way your faculty teaches. IIT faculty. Okay. You need to have a comparison, right? Yes or no? So that's how it is. Right. Where we are. Right. So we are into this, right? History of your C we are talking. So it is from who invented it? Ritchie, Dennis Ritchie, C language in the year 1972 in Bell Labs. This is C is invented from B called BPCL. Right? So first, I mean, before going further, I already told you why C, what is the advantages of C, because it is a very fast in execution as compared to, so nowadays also still many of network related testing, related programs, right, or embedded programs are written in C only. There is very few people porting it. Right. This is how that's an advantage of learning yours. Next, before going further, okay, you need to understand your environment where you're getting your program. I'm expecting you people to install this. It's called DevCP, Dev C++. So I can Google it and I can show you that. Dev C++. So you can install this. Download this, install it. This is a kind of IDE, integrated development environment, where you can start. It looks like this. You can start writing your program, saving it, okay, compile it. What happens when you compile? All those things we are going to learn. Okay. Not only you use the DevCP plus IDE, not only for C, you will use for DS, you will use for ADS. So this is a very. I'll show you this. Okay. So we'll start writing your first program to understand, okay, how it looks like. Please concentrate. Okay. See the way I've written. I mean, this is called modular approach. So in D, SN technical, I have a software programs, then C program. Now what I do new folder. Okay, this is a 2020 20. Enter, right? In this, I am teaching only CSM students. So I'll copy this. Okay, go to CMD. Sometimes you require the command line. So do to this D colon. So DAR, nothing will be there. I mean, there is no files are there. So when you do DAR here also, it is saying a dot and dot dot. Dot is talking about the current directory. It is talking about this one. Okay. Dot dot means is a link from your current to parent. So when you do cd dot dot, it goes to parent, means it goes to who is the parent of CSM? CSM parent is this. Okay. So cd dot dot means it will go to 2020. Yes. Or you can do cd dot slash CSM. Dot from the current directory. Which is the current directory here? Your current directory is this. Okay, from here, I want to move to this. Right? So it's move. So dot dot is your parent, dot is your current directory. So please understand. CD dot, if I do it, it won't move anywhere. CD dot. CD dot dot means it moves to parent directory. So this is what PWD if I do it, right? Sorry. CD, if I do it, it will tell you where you are. This is your current directory. Okay. So these are the kind of the commands. Okay, your operating system is providing to interact with your contents, the current contents of your hard disk. You do dear, it lists, right? So this is what it is. Now I want to store into this, save all my program. Simple program, first program, I want to do hello world or hello CS. So how to do it? You have to go here, new source file. What is the shortcut of this? Control N. You can use, this is called menu actually. This menu, new source file. The shortcut to this is Control N. Okay. So you can do Control, hold it N. So it will come like this. Okay. Now what you have to do? You have to start writing your program. Hash include stdio.h. I'll explain all this. Don't worry. Int main. The indentation is happening after open brace when you enter, right? Your cursor is coming in. Directly. So just to do a printf, okay, CSM student, right? Save it. How to save it? Either you can save here, you can do go here, okay, save. When you do save, it is asking where to save it. So I want to go to here, CSM, okay, into this. I am doing C program. So select as a C source file, give it hello world. This is not a program. This is just you guys are learning environment. That's it. Okay. Once I save it, what you have to do? You have to compile it. How to compile? This is a compile F9. This is a shortcut. Menu way of going it is this. Or I can press directly F9. So the compilation output, it comes here. Error 0, warning 0. The output file, it's clearly is mentioned. Output file name is, it is stored into this. What is that? Hello world.exe. So this is the application app it is created. It's a executable file. So what is the output of this source code when you do compile this? Hello world. Okay. Now, what is the size of it? How many seconds it took to compile it? And all the stuff it is coming. So you can go there, see how many files is existing. 2 files. This is the one file. This is the second. This is your C source, whatever you use it. This is application. Application means hello world. Okay. This is your exe that has to start executing. So I'll delete it again. Okay. Compile it. Right. Compile it. F9. Right. So when I press F9, what happens? It generates actually. It's not just do with this. Come. right? You can directly execute this. Run, run as in. So it is coming and going. Actually, we are not in a position to see that. Okay, so how to see it? How to start executing. This is how it is going very fast. Okay, make it stop. You have to use some different kinds of stuff here. Let's see it. I update it. When you update, write any kind of statement, you save it. Okay, compile it. When you compile, exe is generated. You execute. Okay, this is how. Now, I hope you guys are able to see this. Right? Why it is not? I mean, you see all these differences. What sir has done going forward. Not. Okay? I'll explain what are the individual statements as talking. Okay? So here I used a printf. It is a function. Whatever the open close braces are there. If you see any kind of that statements, those are all functions or procedures. Okay. So this main also with the open close braces. That's why main is called a function. Your program execution of your C program starts from main. Okay. So from main, it comes here, it starts executing this, then it starts. But where is the definition of main definition? I know it is here only, but where is the definition of printf? You can do right click it, go to definition. It is there in C here directly. Printf is of this format. Okay. So it is present inside stdio.h. That's why you included it. Okay. Until unless your program knows where is the printf. If you don't know, your program compiler doesn't know where it is, it throws error. Get ch also will be present in it. That's why you have to include this compulsory, because the definitions of printf, get ch are present in a header file. STD standard IO input output. IO is input output. H is header file. So standard input output related functions are the procedures present inside this header file. So example, this is a standard output method. This is also standard input method. This is called unformatted input. Okay. There is no format that you using to format your input. Okay. So if I right click it, go to definition, it will tell you where the source. Source is this. So it is clear. So intern, this doesn't have any definition. Intern, your program. Okay, this very big program. You have hash includes everything, right? So in those things, it will. You go here, right click it, go to definition. Anyhow, it will be also the part of this. Okay. So that's how. So what your printf will do? It takes some kind of a string. Okay, takes some kind of a string and try to print this onto a screen. That's what we have seen, right? So execute. So what it has done? It has printed hi CSM students. Printed hi CSM student slash n here it is there for a new line. That's why after printing it, it is your cursor is blinking here. So it is entered new line here and came here. Your cursor is starting. I mean, ready to start printing from. Okay. That's what your program has current program. Okay. So hash include is a kind of a include header files. Okay. This is kind of macro. It is called. It's not a macro definition. So hash include macro. Okay. So this is how it looks like. So after this, I hope you guys understood. If you guys have any issues, understanding issues related to this, right? Please let me know. I'll explain. Okay. For this is not required. So it is printed without slash n. How it looks? See, after hi CSN, there is a gap. Then it printed like this. If I remove this, how it looks? That new line will not come. See, there's no gap between this and. Okay. So you have to observe these minute kind of a changes to understand what is the behavior of your kind of the output function called print. Printf is what? Output function. What it will do, whatever the string that you provide, it will prints that. The functionality of your printf is to take the string and print onto your output or the console, okay, or monitor, okay, desktop. Getting? So this is how your program looks like. So before going further, okay, I would like you to know what happens when you press F. When you do compile, what happens? That's what you need to understand. Okay. So compiler has a lot of stages. You need to understand what is a compiler also. Nobody is asking, "Sir, what is a compiler?" See, compile. When you do F9, what happens? That's a question. Okay. You need to understand. So it will do this. It opens indirectly some kind of a prompt. It opens command prompt indirectly, right? G++. Okay. Your file name. Let us say, what is your file name first? Test.c -o something. What it is saved as what? It is saved as hello. Same, right? -o test.exe. So this will be taken as input into this. What is this? This is a compiler. Compiler takes your whatever the program that you are done. What it will do, compiler? Compiler has so many stages. Okay. First is pre-processing. Second is syntax or syntax analysis. Syntax and intermediate code generation, assembly code generation. This one is this assembly code along with your other header files or linkers, right? Combined with this will generate executable code. So these are the kind of the stages that you have. You will study in detail about your compiler, okay, as a subject. Okay, compiler design. Compiler design is a subject that you have the part of. I don't know about CSM, but for it will be having for you also because it's a part of GATE. If it is a GATE syllabus, it is there. It will be there for CSM students. Okay. So we'll see what happens during pre-processing and all. Okay. So how to know how to execute your see if I execute your compiler, G++ is your compiler. It takes your test.c input. It tries to do pre-processing. What do you mean by pre-processing? Okay, we'll see that. What is mean by syntax and semantics? What do you mean by intermediate code generation or assembly code? I'm not sure. This is for a theoretical perspective it is there, but directly I'm not sure really. The practical. As per theoretical perspective of compiler design, it is. Okay. Then assembly code generation, then executable code. We'll see what is the pre-processing stage, how it has to be. So G++ takes some kind of a options like your -e. If you give G++ with -e and this input and -o, some test.i, if I give it right. So what it will do, it will give you output of this stage, pre-processing. Okay. Then there was a some kind of -s option. Then .s you can give it. It generates assembly code. So we'll see how these things can be done. Okay. Because you guys have to know really what's happening.
Sir, what is meant by test.c, sir?
No, this is just a name of my file I given here. I given the name of file as what? Hello world.c. Right? So hello world.c will be having a test.c. This is a source C code. Your code is here instead of this, right? I mean, the naming convention I given a different one here. Hello world. .c I have given. This is a hello world.c is this complete code. Okay. So instead of hello world.c,
Yes.
you got it right. So I given just a test.c. That's it. Don't I mean you can replace test.c with a hello world.c, right? Okay. So we'll see what is the G++ when you install where. Okay. So when you install, all of your programs will go here. Windows program files 86 dev cpp. In this MIG min GW64 bin. Inside bin you have G++, GCC or G. Both are same. So based on the context, the guys will use. So I have to copy this. I have to go here where I am into. So how many files are there? I have two files. This is directly exe I shown you. But if I do -e, what happens? Right? -e, I want to give my hello world.c, right? -o hello world.i. Okay. See, you guys have to remember what here. My file is of this size only. How many lines are there in this? Yes, ma'am.
6 lines.
6 lines, right?
Six.
So, yeah, your file hello world.c is having 6 lines. Now, what I have done, I'm taking my compiler. I shown you where my compiler is, right? This is a path, okay, where my compiler is. So, I have taken this path. Why I have taken double quotes? Because there is a space here, space, right? And your special characters are there. So, if you have this, right? So, your space also is treated like a new separate directory, but it's not a separate. This fellow is a separate directory. So in order to make your OS to treat this as a complete one directory, have to include in a directory. So your GS plays one of the option to generate your pre-processed code out of your compiler is -e option. -e, what it generates? It takes your hello world.c, generates your pre-processed code. We'll see what happens if I type enter it. So it generated something. So we'll go to that code. Yeah, see here. This is what your file. So we'll open this. Okay. Open with will use not the word pattern. See so much of lines of code. Where is your main? Here. Last 4 lines. Your main is your last 4 lines. The rest of things from here to this to the top. Okay, to the top here. All are get replaced by what? Who replaced that? It is get replaced by this fellow mostly. Okay, this fellow is getting expanded. Okay, so you can observe that also. Go to definition when you do it, right? So as this stuff. So all these things is getting replaced here. That's what your pre-processing stage of your compiler will do. What it will do, it will replace this with the contents of it. Okay, so it includes its own contents. So you can compare here. So somewhere has defined A and C. You can grep for it. As defined will get replaced. So extends extends from. Okay, these things were included by your compiler. So it includes like everything. Okay. So it replaces. This file is get replaced. So here in this place of this line, the contents of this get replaced. Who is doing this? Yes, ma'am. Who is replacing the contents of your source file with stdio.h? I'm giving out your hint also.
Compiler.
Yes. What is this? What's your name, ma'am? What's your name? Good name. That's correct. Sir.
Saishwar.
Right. Good, sir. That's what it is. See, I'm doing what I'm trying to make you understand what is your F9 is doing here. See, F9, this is a shortcut. F9. So compiler will get invoked. Okay. How it is getting invoked? This is how it is getting invoked indirectly. What you have done here, I am trying to see that F9 contains all these stages. Okay. But I am trying to make you understand each individual stage. So that's how its output is. This is output of the stage one of your getting. Now this also it will do it, but next stage there is no option to see all this stuff. The next option is this assembly code. You can see it. Okay. So the next one I can do here is see. I don't know the options related to your CC. I mean G++ related to Windows actually. I know only I worked in. I already told you Linux or Unix side. I know those options. I'm trying to give those options. Whether it works or not, I'm not sure. I'm giving. So what is this option? This is the assembly code generator. It is not given any error means most probably it worked. Not sure. Okay, we'll check it. Yeah, F1 yes also is generated. So we'll open this. See, this is what your code. Okay, assembly code. This assembly code also still you can understand basically. It's not that complex. What happened here? Where is our code? Here. This complete code, okay, whatever you have or whatever you seen now previously also, that is converted into this. So it is some kind of a move, push. These are some kind of a intermediate code, okay, which has to be converted into machine understandable code using some kind of a zero sentence. Your CPU understands that one. Now, this this assembly code goes as a input to your assembler. There is an assembler here, assembly code generation. So now what happens? Assembly code will go to input as an assembler. The assembler generates your EX. This is whatever you found here, assembly code or intermediate code, some kind of intermediate. This will be converted into your machine executable code using your assembly. That's what you guys have to understand. This is what happens inside. Okay. So you guys will study all these things as a part of your compiler. Okay. I hope you guys understood at least something. So that's what internally it happens with your. But anyhow, you have to remember all this as a part of your computer science student. So people will ask you various questions related to your compiler. What happens when you press F9? Okay. What happens when you press F10? Can you please explain? Can you tell me what is assembly code? Can you tell me at least what is a machine code? All these kind of questions people will ask you. That's why I've shown you all these various stages of your company. Okay, we'll go ahead with you will start learning what is the structure of C program. Okay. Your structure of C program looks like. Please, I'm trying to explain you what is the individual sections are by comparing with the your existing header section. Okay. The header section is not that compulsory, but few of the industry people will follow. What a header section contains in your code. Okay. I'll explain. The section looks like this. I mean, it's a kind of a comment kind of a. It contains what is the file name. Okay, to write your file. Yeah? Author, you write author. Okay, started, start date, modified date, modified content, along with lines. Right? This kind of information it will be there in the header section. Okay. Footer section also don't have much thing. Okay. Footer will have say thanks to the end of file like this. It will. Okay. These are comments. You whatever the things that the lines that you include right? Between slash star star slash, all these things will be get ignored by your company. Why? Because these are our comments. Okay. This is multi-line comments. See, you have how many comments? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So many lines are there. That's why this kind of a comment in your C, start with this and end with this, are called multi-line comments. Single line comments also is there. You can do right. The single line. So which kind of the symbols that you are used to write your single line? Slash. This is called slash. This is called backslash. So this is slash star slash is used for multi-line comments in your C line. So this is what your header section. Okay. Next link section. Okay. Link section is this. So all your macro kind of definitions or which are the kind of the functions definitions which you trying to include okay, inside your C program, right? So they are called links. Okay. Next, definition section. Definition section, let us say you have defined your own function. Those function prototypes you can keep here after your links. Okay. So those are called definition. Definition section contains what? Declarations okay, related to user-defined functions. So what are the functions and all those things also we'll study going forward. Okay. The functions are here. Okay. User-defined functions in the unit. So I already told you your C program is a combination of your functions. So given a problem, what you do, you will be having compulsory main function. This is a starting seat where your program starts. So when you write your own function one, function two, function three, and all, right? Understand? So you have to call those things appropriately in a sequential manner from your main to be, to solve your problem. Execute as per your. So those functions, whatever you design to solve your problem, those declarations of those functions have to be part. The definitions will come after your main. Okay? So that's what about your definition. Global declaration section. Global declaration section, what is trying to tell you, you want to use some kind of a common variables that has to be shared across your function, right? Those variables, okay, can be declared as a global declaration. All the variables which has to be accessed by all your functions that you do. So if you have any kind of Yeah, I'm audible, ma?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah, there is a
Yes,
power
sir.
problem. Okay. So I'm now with mobile data. Okay. There's no uh, broadband. Power is not there. Okay. Right. So there will be some kind of issues related to video or my voice. Okay. So please bear with me. Another 8 minutes. So where we were, what are you discussing? Yeah, global declaration. Okay, uh, so what is trying to tell you in this is this declaration section. When you talk about this, right here, you can have some kind of a function like return type. Let us say type of your program, okay, your function name, okay, your parameters listed. This is kind of functions prototypes that you use. Okay, like there's so many will so many. Now, this is the second one, nth one, right? Right. These are the kind of the things that you have as a part of your. Sorry, it's the definition. Global declaration sections. You will have. Let us say I want to use some kind of a variable, integer variable, n is equal to 10. I want to use this, which has to be shared by all these definitions. So those kind of the variables which has to be shared by your main and all these functions has to be there at your this place. This place is called global declaration. So I'll write here. This is what this is. Data set, right? This fellow, I remember. This is what link section. Okay, link. After this, definition. Definition. I'll copy this. Okay, paste here. Right. After this definition section, you have global declaration. Right. So global declaration section contains what? It contains all global variables definitions, which has to be accessed by. See, if it is, if any kind of variable has to be accessed by so many functions, you can. I mean, it's not guaranteed that you have to compulsory have to declare global variables. That depends. So we'll see all this. Next is this main function, right? After this, you have the definitions of these. Okay, this is a definition contains the declarations of your function. Okay. So if you see here, subprogram section, what it is copy subprogram section. Here it contains definitions of the individual function. So I'll write this of the function only. It starts here open. See, definition is this. You are giving some kind of instructions inside your function. See, here main is there. Main has a definition. Main is not prototype. It is not required for it. If it is a prototype, it is int main open close brace semicolon. Okay, that's called prototype. The definition, it looks like this. This is the definition of your function one. Okay. Next, you will be having a definition of function two. Like this, you will be having so many other things, so many other functions. You will be having a definition of last function. Dot 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 is to indicate that there are so many things are there. Okay. So internally you have so many executable statements are there. Okay. So I'm just printing those things as a part of your definition. Okay. Right. This is how your program looks like. This is what it is, a basic structure of C program. Okay. The footer section also is there. This is what your footer. You can write off file name, and you name your file like your hello world. So this is how your things will be there. So, but which are the minimal things that you require to write your program instead of following everything as per the basic structure of your C program is this instead of this, right? So you can have only that part of your main of this and including your things. I hope you guys understood. If you not understood anything here, you please go through the video that I'm going to post inside your courseware. Okay. And you come up with a lot of questions next. I hope I'm done with this session. Okay. So what you have done, you just understood what is the history of C, basic C structure, and your environment where you start writing your program. That's how for today's class. Mostly we'll see all these things doesn't fall. This is just a very preliminary fundamental. You don't expect to have a lot of programming. Very minimal programming will be there as part of your unit 1. Unit 2, you just kickstart with a bit of complex program. And when you come to the arrays and all, you will see a bit big program. Then unit 3 onwards, you will have a lot of complex. Unit 3, unit 4. So, but unit 1 and 2, you will have very small program. Okay? Up to this. Arrays, using arrays, you can write complex program. That's it from my side. Please study regularly, ma. Have a lot of questions with you every time. Whenever you come to the class, right? You note down all your doubts. Come to a class, ask those doubts in the class. Okay? Anyhow, let me download your